Now, this is Baruch the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and it's time for the 7th shir in this series of shirim on the Tiva Kavanos, translating the Shara Kavanos, or helping us understand it on the Inyan of Purim. So we're going to come over here, we're going to go back to a drawing that we made yesterday, but I'll make a new drawing, okay? And I'm going to use it like the way I did before. Let's call this Bina. Now, it's easy for me to draw it as a cloud because Bina has very little substance. We just heard a shir, if you were listening to that shir, on the concept of what Bina does to Zer Anpin as her Nai enters into Zer Anpin. She causes him to become, first of all, measured, because his spheros exist for the purposes of limiting the light that's coming from the Most High towards us, which is the light, of course, the life force and all the brachos that exist in the universe. But in its regular form, it's much too much for us. So therefore we have the concept of Bedida. But we also have the concept, what we mentioned in that shir, is the concept of Cheshbon, which comes into Malchus. Now let's do this drawing. Let's take Bina, and Bina, let's make her in a different way. Okay, let's make Bina have a net, a hod, and a yesod, and they're lined up pretty much like, let's say they're in a straight line. This is her Nai. And this Nai is going to then transfer into the Rosh of Zer Anpin. Let's just say like this. So that's Zer Anpin's head. They're all coming in. Okay, they're coming into Zer Anpin. They're going to do different things when they get inside of Zer Anpin. They go different places. All of them has to be looked at in their own idea. But the point over here is that we're trying to understand the Nesira, what happens on Purim. Because Purim is a mistaken understanding on the part of a guy like Haman, who doesn't, even though that he can read all the signs and he understands that they're there, he's not able to understand that there's an Ein Sof, Hashem Yisbarach, is behind all the signs. He can't see that. So therefore he wants to do whatever he does in a time that looks good, which is the time of the Nesira, which is really the time that precedes, and it is necessary before there is Geula. That's the concept of darkness overcoming night. Light overcoming darkness. This is that what we're going to see here is that each one of these, the Netzach, Hod, and the Yesod, are actually built in 3 compartments. So let's just take Netzach, right? And we'll take Yesod, and we'll take Hod, right? This is, once again, this is Netzach, this is Hod, and this is Yesod. Okay, turns out that they have 3 compartments. What's the purpose of the 3 compartments? The purpose of the 3 compartments is to build Zer Anpin into what we call Mochin, the godless. Now this whole business is going to enter, as we saw, this Nai is going to go into Zer Anpin. Basically a combination of different things that the Matuk is mentioning is that, say you have the first, second, and third. You have 1, 2, 3 compartments. 1, 2, 3 in each. So what he's going to say is like this. Let's take Zer Anpin. He's 6 kitzvahs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And so that we're going to say like this is that the ultimately, without getting into it in too much detail, exactly how the different parts work, is that the third parak here is going to go into Netzach. The second parak here is going to go into Chesed. The first parak here is going to go into, well, it's going to go and form the Chachma of Zer Anpin. The same thing here is true too. The third parak is going to go down and form the Hod of Zer Anpin. The second parak is going to go down and form the Gevura of Zer Anpin. And of course, the first parak is going to be Bina of Zer Anpin. So this is how it goes. And the same thing is true of here. The first parak is going to be the the third parak is going to be Yesod. The second parak is going to be Tiferes. And the first parak well, we could either say that it's going to become, and now couldn't say that this is going to become the das of Zer Anpin. But this is how it goes. Imagine this is her nai right here. This is the nai. And the nai right is going to come into Zer Anpin, way down here, and let's put them right here. Again, let's put them, they're all going into this guy here. And as a result of that, they're going to build out all of Zer Anpin from his mochin. Now, we're going to go over here as we're trying to understand let me see where I can find this. Here we go. Okay, so now the Matuk is going backwards. He's trying to give us a little idea of some things, and let's just read along with him. He says, this is not the Matuk, this is the Tiv, I'm sorry. Why is Abba inside of Ima? Remember we said at Droming before is that we could talk about Ima all we want to, because every time we mention Ima, Abba is always inside of her. You can't see him, maybe, because she hides him. Mishum shachaklalhu, sheor hayotzer godol, because the greater light, nislavish betocha or shakatim b'menu, always is clothed with inside of a light that is less than it. Lukamo shahan neshama is laveshes betocha guf. It's just like the same kind of idea. The neshama is inside of the body. Kach or shal Abba. So the same thing is the light of Abba shehu or yoser godol, which is a tremendously powerful light coming from the Ein Sof. Nislavish tocha or deima. Rak achar kach neknasim tocha chabad de zer anpin. So before they come into Zer Anpin, they're already riding together, because their togetherness is a preliminary to the existence and the birth of Zachar V'Nov. V'hu ha'nikra reisha de Zer Anpin. It's called the head of Zer Anpin, but b'zecha mishtalim Zer Anpin lehios parts of Shalom. And this is the pattern, and I showed you in the drawing how Zer Anpin actually ultimately becomes, it's 9 spheros plus 1, which is 10 spheros instead of 6. Of Eitz Chaim, now the Tiv writes like this. In the Eitz Chaim Mavur, it explains, that the way that the details work is like this. Now, listen to this carefully. I don't think I'm going to make a drawing on it, but let's see. The B'muach Chochma, let's start with the Muach Chochma of Zer Anpin. Where does it come from? Mislavesha Shtei Netzachim de Abba Ve'ima. The Netzach of Abba Ve'ima goes into the right brain of Zer Anpin. Of a Muach Binda de Zer Anpin, Mislavish Shtei Hahodos de Abba Ve'ima, and instead then into the Bina of Zer Anpin, you have the two of them going together again, because remember, Abba Ve'ima always ride together. Over Midas Adah, over Muach Adas, the Zer Anpin, the Slavesh's base Hayisodos de Abba Ve'ima. There you see the Yisod of Abba Ve'ima is inside of the Das of Zer Anpin. So he said, who's so shachas hamochim minai the Abba Ve'ima the Zer Anpin, and this is how it works. Is that it's like a series of train stations. So in the train station, let's say like in the train station, let's find another way. Let's make another way to draw this. So if we have the 9, let's say this is once again. This is Netzach of Ima, Hod of Ima, and Das of Ima. We said that divided into 3 parts. So we'll make them 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now let's look at Zer Anpin. Zer Anpin is actually going to become, right, 9 pieces. This is Chabad. Chachma, Bina, and Das. And then after that, you have Chagat. You have, here it is, just like this. They go down, and here's another triangular formation called the Chagat. And then they go down further, and they make another formation, which is called the 9. Okay, so 9, right? And so this will be another formation with the Yesod over here and the Netzach here. This will be the Netzach, and over here will be the Hod. Now, let me stop for a second and try to get my bearings. So this will be our drawing here. Let's try to understand what happens here. What happens is the Netzach and its three compartments come into the Chochmah, and they form up the Chochmah of Zer Anpin. The three compartments of Bina, this would be the Hod of the Nai of Ima. They come into the Bina of Zer Anpin, and then the Das with its three compartments goes into the Yesod of Ima, and they all transfer into Zer Anpin. Now what happens is Zer Anpin, so you see 1, 2, 3, this is Chochmah, this is Chesed, this is Netzach. Each one of these will be lodged in one of the spheros which are going to be built by Zer Anpin, by Bina, and by Das. They will all build three compartments in Zer Anpin. Although there were 6 of them to begin with, now they're going to expand into 9 as a result of the mochin that are coming in from Bina. Well, this is the 7th year. This is Baruch Fleisch, and we'll try to keep working on it and try to understand it as best we can.